Running away from yourself is the greatest of exiles. Being true to yourself is the most difficult return. Sufi Proverb: the true essence of the human being is a hidden treasure, buried beneath layers of social conditioning, ancestral fears, and ego illusions. From birth, we are programmed to move away from the sacred core, this divine spark that connects us to the whole. Why? Because confronting our true nature takes courage, and society prefers conformity to authenticity. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, already showed us how we live trapped in shadows, confusing them with reality. The Buddha, in turn, taught that attachment to false identity is the root of all suffering. And Jung, the explorer of the psyche, revealed that deep within the collective unconscious lie the archetypes of our true nature. But why did we run away? The answer is simple and at the same time complex. Fear. Fear of our own light, our own greatness. As Marianne Williamson said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. This constant escape limits us in ways we can barely understand. We create masks, characters that we play in the great theater of life. Forgetting who we really are, we seek external approval, material success, recognition, everything to fill the void we feel because we have moved away from our essence. How many of you have asked yourself, who am I beyond the roles I play? This is the fundamental question, the portal to true self-knowledge. But few have the courage to cross it. The limitation we impose on ourselves by running away from our essence is like a self-imposed prison. We limit our talents, our creativity, our ability to love and genuinely connect with others. We live half-baked lives, always feeling like something is missing. But why is this escape so common, so universal? To understand this, we need to delve deeper into the human condition, exploring the psychological, philosophical, and spiritual roots of this phenomenon. From a psychological point of view, we can trace the origins of this escape to our childhood. From an early age, we learn to repress parts of ourselves to conform to the expectations of others. Carl Rogers, the pioneer of humanistic psychology, called these value conditions. They are the implicit rules that we internalize about what is acceptable or not in ourselves. Imagine a naturally expressive and creative child. She dances freely, sings loudly, expresses her emotions without filter. But little by little, through dirty looks, critical comments, or subtle punishments, she learns that certain parts of herself are not welcome. Boys don't cry, girls should be gentle, don't be so noisy, stop daydreaming and be practical. These messages, repeated over the years, create layers of protection around our true selves. This process of repression and adaptation is, to a certain extent, necessary for life in society. We need to learn to control our impulses, to consider the needs of others, to function within social structures. The problem arises when this adaptation becomes so extreme that we lose contact with our essence. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, talked about how society domesticates humans, turning them into a herd animal. For him, true human achievement was in transcending this domestication, in becoming an Übermensch or Superman, not in the sense of superiority over others, but of overcoming oneself. This domestication, this escape from oneself, manifests itself in countless ways in our daily lives. Notice how many people feel uncomfortable with silence, always looking for distractions, whether through television, social media, or superficial conversations. This behavior is often an escape from confrontation with oneself, a fear of being alone with one's own thoughts and feelings. Or consider how many of us get lost in social and professional roles, forgetting who we are beyond those labels. How many times have you found yourself answering the question, who are you, with your professional title or family status? I'm a lawyer, I'm a mother of 3, I'm a sales manager. These answers reflect aspects of our lives, certainly, but do they capture the essence of who we really are? Philosopher Simone de Beauvoir explored this question of authenticity in depth in her work, The Second Sex. Although her focus was on women's experience, Her reflections on how we internalize social expectations and alienate ourselves from our true nature are universally applicable. This alienation from oneself has profound consequences at the individual level. It can lead to a chronic feeling of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and existential emptiness. Many people report feeling lost, even when they outwardly appear to have everything society defines as success: career, family, material possessions. This feeling of disconnection is what psychoanalyst and philosopher Eric Fromm called the fear of freedom, the paradox that even though we long for freedom, we often recoil from it, preferring the security of the known, even if it is limiting. On a collective level, this mass escape from our true essence contributes to many of the problems we face as a society. The incessant search for status and material wealth, often at the expense of personal and collective well-being, can be seen as a desperate attempt to fill the void left by disconnection from oneself. Environmental degradation, social inequalities, geopolitical conflicts, all of these can be seen, to some extent, as symptoms of a humanity that has lost touch with its true nature. Philosopher Martin Heidegger talked about the concept of authenticity as an ideal to be achieved. For him, most people live in a state of inauthenticity, absorbed in what he called the people, the impersonal mode of existence dictated by social norms. Authenticity, on the other hand, involves taking responsibility for one's existence, making conscious choices, and living in accordance with one's inner truth. But how can we begin to reconnect with our true essence? How can we begin this journey back home to ourselves? The first step is recognition. Recognize that we are disconnected, that we are living a life that does not fully reflect who we really are. This recognition can be painful. It can come as an existential crisis, professional burnout, or simply as a persistent restlessness that we cannot ignore. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard described this moment of recognition as a leap of faith, not in the traditional religious sense, but as a leap into authenticity, into the truth of oneself. It's a time of courage, of honestly looking at yourself and admitting that changes are necessary. Once we recognize the need for change, the next step is self-observation. We need to develop the habit of observing ourselves without judgment, of becoming witnesses to our own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. The practice of mindfulness, derived from Buddhist traditions, but now widely adopted in Western psychology, is a powerful tool for developing this capacity for self-observation. Jon Kabat-Zinn, one of the pioneers in introducing mindfulness to the West, defines it as paying attention in a particular way, intentionally, in the present moment and without judgment. Imagine sitting on a park bench, watching people go by. You see them, notice their characteristics, their behaviors, but you don't get involved with them. It doesn't judge whether they are beautiful or ugly, good or bad. Just watch. This is the attitude we need to develop towards ourselves, a compassionate, non-judgmental observation. Start by taking a few minutes every day to simply sit quietly and notice your breathing. Notice the thoughts that arise, the sensations in the body, the emotions that surface. Don't try to change or repress them. Just watch. Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns, to recognize the mechanisms of your ego, to distinguish between the voice of your true essence and the internalized voices of social expectations. As we develop this capacity for self-observation, we begin to create space between the stimulus and the response. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, said, "Between the stimulus and the response there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This space is crucial. It is there that we can begin to make conscious choices, align with our true essence, instead of simply reacting based on conditioned patterns." Another important aspect of this reconnection journey is questioning our beliefs and values. Many of the beliefs that guide our lives have been unconsciously absorbed from our culture, family, and society. Not all of these beliefs serve our growth and authenticity. The Greek philosopher Socrates was famous for his method of questioning. He believed that true knowledge came not from passively accepting the ideas of others, but from constantly questioning, From critically examining our own assumptions, we can take a Socratic approach to ourselves. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? Where did this belief come from? Does it still serve my growth and well-being? This questioning can be uncomfortable. It can shake structures that we considered solid. But it is through this discomfort that we grow. A practical exercise for this is what I call the belief inventory. Take a notebook and start listing your beliefs about different aspects of life. Success, relationships, spirituality, life purpose. Be honest with yourself. Then, for each belief, ask yourself, 1. Where did this belief come from? 2. Is it still relevant to my current life? 3. Does this belief limit or expand me? 4. If I could choose freely, would I still choose to believe this? This exercise can be revealing. We often discover that we are living based on beliefs that are not ours, that do not reflect our true essence. As we question our beliefs and develop self-observation, we naturally begin to align more with our true nature. But this process is not linear. There will be moments of clarity and moments of confusion, moments of courage and moments of fear. Psychologist Carl Jung talked about the process of individuation, the path to becoming a completely integrated and authentic individual. For Jung, this process involved confronting and integrating different aspects of our psyche, including what he called the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we have repressed or denied. This confrontation with the shadow is a crucial part of the journey back to our essence. Often, the parts of ourselves that we fear or reject most are exactly the parts that need to be embraced and integrated to achieve wholeness. A powerful exercise for working with the shadow is what I call dialogue with the repressed self. Find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted. Close your eyes and imagine a version of yourself that embodies all the qualities you fear or reject in yourself. It could be your anger, your vulnerability, your ambition, your sexuality, whatever aspect you feel you've repressed. Now, imagine having a conversation with this repressed self. Ask him, what do you need from me? What are you trying to teach me? How can I integrate it in a healthy way into my life? Write this dialogue. You might be surprised by the insights that emerge. We often find that the parts of ourselves we fear most are actually sources of strength and wisdom when properly integrated. As we move forward on this journey of self-discovery, it is important to remember that we are not seeking idealized perfection. The true human essence is not a state of constant bliss or complete fulfillment. It is dynamic, complex, sometimes contradictory. The existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre spoke about bad faith, the human tendency to deny one's freedom and responsibility, seeking refuge in fixed roles and identities. For Sartre, authenticity was not about finding a fixed essence, but about accepting the radical freedom of constantly creating oneself through one's choices. In this sense, reconnecting with one's essence does not mean discovering a static and unchanging true self. Instead, it means embracing the freedom and responsibility to constantly choose who we want to be, moment by moment, aligned with our deepest, most authentic values. This prospect can be frightening. Freedom brings with it responsibility, and it is often more comfortable to follow predetermined rules than to make authentic choices. But it is precisely in this freedom that our potential for a truly meaningful and fulfilling life lies. A practical exercise for cultivating this awareness of freedom and responsibility is what I call choice meditation. Take a few minutes every day to reflect on the choices you've made in the last 24 hours. For each meaningful choice, ask yourself, was this choice made consciously or out of habit? Does it reflect my deepest values? If you could choose again, would you make the same choice? How is this choice creating me as a person? This exercise helps us develop a more acute awareness of our power of choice and how our daily choices shape who we are. As we move forward on this journey of reconnecting with our essence, it is important to recognize that we are not alone. Although the path is deeply personal, there is a universality to the human experience that connects us all. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke about the importance of authentic encounter between human beings. For Buber, it was in these moments of genuine connection, what he called the I-thou relationship as opposed to the I relationship, that we most fully experience our humanity. Cultivating authentic relationships is, therefore, a crucial part of the process of reconnecting with our essence. This involves the courage to be vulnerable, to show ourselves as we really are, without the masks we usually wear. A powerful exercise for cultivating this authenticity in relationships is what I call deep talk. Once a week, invite someone close to you, a friend, a family member, a partner, for a distraction-free conversation. Turn off your cell phones. Find a quiet place and dedicate an hour to a genuine conversation. Use questions like, what's really occupying your thoughts lately? What are your deepest fears at this point in your life? What brings you genuine joy? How have you changed in the last year? The goal is not to give advice or solve problems, but simply to listen and be heard with full presence and acceptance. These deep conversations remind us of our shared humanity. They lift us out of ego isolation and reconnect us with the broader web of human experience. Another important aspect of this journey is reconnecting with the body and nature. In our hypermental society, we often become disconnected from the wisdom of the body and the natural rhythms of life. Philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty emphasized the importance of bodily experience in our perception and understanding of the world. For him, we are not disembodied minds observing the world from outside, but incarnated beings deeply intertwined with the world through our bodies. Practices such as yoga, tai chi, or simply walking in nature can help us reconnect with this bodily wisdom. When we move consciously, when we feel the air in our lungs, the sun on our skin, the earth beneath our feet, we are reconnecting with fundamental aspects of our existence that we often neglect. A simple but powerful exercise is what I call mindful forest bathing. Find a spot in nature. This could be a city park if you don't have access to a forest. Dedicate at least an hour to walking slowly, using all of your senses. Please note the different shades of green of the leaves, the sounds of birds, the wind in the trees, the smells of the earth of plants, the texture of the ground beneath your feet, the taste of the air. Don't try to analyze or categorize your experiences. Simply be present with them. This practice reconnects us with our animal nature, with our belonging to the natural world. As we move forward on this journey of reconnection, it is important to remember that there is no end point, a state of permanent enlightenment to be achieved. Life is a continuous process of becoming, of unfolding. The philosopher Heraclitus said that we cannot step into the same river twice, as both we and the river are constantly changing. Likewise, our essence is not something fixed to be discovered, but something that is constantly revealing and recreating itself through our choices and experiences. In this sense, reconnecting with one's essence is more about cultivating an attitude of openness, curiosity, and acceptance towards oneself and life than about achieving an ultimate state of perfection. It's about learning to dance with life, to flow with its changes, while maintaining a sense of center, of purpose. A final exercise I like to recommend is what I call the Gratitude and Purpose Journal. Every night before bed, take a few minutes to answer these questions. What am I grateful for today? What did I learn about myself today? How did I live my purpose today? What can I do tomorrow to live more aligned with my true essence? This exercise helps us stay focused on what's truly important, cultivate an attitude of gratitude, and live with intentionality. As we conclude this exploration, it is important to remember that the journey of reconnecting with our true essence is exactly that, a journey. There are no shortcuts. There are no quick fixes. It is a lifelong process of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. There will be moments of clarity and moments of confusion, moments of deep joy and moments of intense pain. This is all part of the process. The key is to stay open, curious, and compassionate with yourself along the way. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke said, "Be patient with everything that is unresolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves. Do not look now for the answers that cannot be given, because you would not be able to live them. And the important thing is to live everything. Live the questions now. Maybe you will then, gradually, without realizing it, someday come to know the answer. Remember, you are already complete. You are already perfect in your imperfection. Your true essence is not something to be achieved, but something to be revealed unveiled. By removing the layers of conditioning and fear that obscure it, escaping yourself may seem easier in the short term, but in the end, it is the path of greatest resistance. True freedom, true peace, comes from embracing who you really are, with all its complexities and contradictions. So, I invite you to embark on this journey of self-discovery, to be courageous in the search for your truth, questioning, exploring, opening up to the infinite possibilities of your being. For, as the philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson said, what is behind us and what is in front of us are small things compared to what is within us. Your true essence is waiting to be discovered, to be lived, and the world is waiting for the unique and authentic expression of your being. May you find the courage to be who you really are. May you discover the joy of living in alignment with your true essence, and that in doing so, you inspire others to do the same. For when we live from our true essence, we not only transform our own lives, but we contribute to the transformation of the world around us. As Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And that change starts with the courage to be authentically yourself. May your journey of self-discovery be rich, deep, and transformative. May you find the peace and wholeness that comes from living in alignment with your true nature. And that in doing so, you help create a more authentic, more compassionate, and more connected world for us all. The path is before you. The choice is yours. But know that every step toward your true essence is a step toward freedom, wholeness, and realizing your highest potential. There is no journey more important than this. Start now. The world is waiting for the unique and authentic expression of your being. And you, in your true essence, are exactly what the world needs right now.